Welcome everyone to Unscripted Coding. Now I'm pretty excited because Mistral, which is a French LLM AI company, released their OCR API, which means Optical Character Recognition, which means it can turn scans of documents or PDFs into text that you can use. And I know that makes very little sense, so let me scroll down to this example that they have. You can see this is it's not even a scan, it's a picture of a document, tilted, not perfect. And if you get this in a PNG or JPEG format, you're never going to be able to copy the text. You can't just drag through and copy it and then paste on Microsoft Word. But if you run it through this API, what Mistral is going to do is clean it up for you like so. So you'll have the titles, the headings in different formats. You'll have text that can reflow, because ultimately what it's doing is creating markdown and HTML. And so something that's web browser or mobile friendly, you can reflow the text, you can see the headings, you can create table of contents, whatever, all through it. And you can see also that it has tried to crop out the image here. So it takes the image and puts it into the document as an image. Now this is just one example. They have a bunch of others. So you can see in this Hindi example that, of course, number one, it recognizes other languages, but it turns it into something readable. It takes out the odd formatting. If you look at the math, it's doing all of this in different formats. Some of these are less obvious, some of these are more obvious. So, why is this important? It's because it's the backbone behind everything. Yeah, we could talk about flashy apps that can, sort all your documents and generate all these things, but somebody has to do the work in the back, which is taking all of your data and making it understood by LLMs, and Mistral is doing that work for us. So in this video, what I'm going to do is show you what I whipped up with the help of AI to see how it presents and how it works in different formats. Now, I will make this available on my GitHub later, because this was not trivial. And certainly a lot of the simple demos I use, I ask AI and it's quick. This one, not so much. AI just couldn't put a lot of the pieces together to make this fully functional. Anyways, first and foremost, let us walk through what is happening here. Mistral AI allows you to upload PDF files. Just gonna refresh here. Upload PDF files, but also image files. So you can upload PNGs, JPEGs, and so on. But I think, for the most part, I'm really looking at PDFs. You can get it straight from a URL. So let me zoom in here. You can get it straight from a URL, but for the most part, I'm more interested in uploading my own PDF files and getting it through. Now, of course, you can use Python, TypeScript, but you're going to need the Mistral AI package. So I'm using their curl to try and figure out what to do, because I'm trying to use their bare bones API instead. Now, if we just look at curl here, let's look here. What you're going to do is first upload the file. So you're going to send it to API Mistral.ai v1 files with your API key, with the file. You're going to send it. They are going to give it an ID. So you are going to take that file, take that ID back so that you can retrieve that file. You're going to then, get a signed URL, meaning that it's encrypted, so you know that it's tailored to your ID. And then finally, in this last curl one, you go back with the signed URL with your document ID, and you're going to go and ping their OCR to get the results. Now, the results are quite interesting. If we look at this output, this looks kind of painful, but it's going to separate the PDF by individual pages. So unfortunately, it's not going to parse through, your 50-page document and create one single markdown, one single web page like experience. Instead, it's going to break it down to page 1, page 2, page 3. But in it, you're going to have markdown, and then this is not a good example, but here's page 2. Here's markdown, and you can see they have created space for an image at the top. And then there's a whole bunch of text. And then you can see this image comes, where is it coming from? Here's the base 64. Here are the dimensions, and then the next page and so on. So you got to figure out how to deal with these images. You might have, a dozen images in a PDF. You got to figure it out, how to embed it, and then create this, convert this markdown over to make use of those images. That was the major challenge that AI couldn't put together. It is a multi-step process in which you have to figure out the images. Basically, I created a list of base 64 that is the image in, text or string format, and then I embedded them within the results afterwards. Anyways, you can look over the code. It's not very clean, but it'll make sense on my GitHub that I'll link in the description. But I wanted to show you just a couple of my own tests here. I am going to go with a nice, simple one to begin with right here. And so you can see from the preview that this is plain Jane. This is basic text. It should have no problem. In fact, it's a very clean PDF that is, generated on computer, so there are no artifacts. You can actually select the text on the PDF. And if I process with OCR, I'm going to have this. And this looks pretty good. It matches the title. We have the Right Honorable Lord Hodge. All of the text, I'm assuming, but I have done a couple of tests before, is quite accurate, especially for something clean like this. I wouldn't hesitate to say this is basically full on, fully accurate. Now, how it handles footnotes isn't great. You can see that it hasn't done anything with respect to, what do you call it, italicized text. There should be a few examples in here, but there's nothing. Nevertheless, I think this is a pretty good example here. I'm just going to show you what I mean by reflowing. Like, I can squeeze the text here, and it reflows because it is in Markdown, kind of like HTML format. On the top here, this PDF, you can see I could squeeze it and, the text doesn't reflow. You will have to read like this on your phone. And that's never a pleasant experience. That's the basic version. I'm going to give you one more basic example here, and this is just a similar thing. It is a report, and this time I'm going to have multiple pages. So you can see there are 12 pages in this document. I'm just going to process with OCR, and the results come in pretty quickly too, which is nice. It pulled out the seal here, so then you can see the images are being pulled out, which is nice. Links are properly created, but again, no bolding, no italicizing. I am a little bit disappointed with this result right here, in which a table of contents is in this weird format here. I will say that depending on how the table of contents looks like, I have seen other files where it's properly created into a chart. And so I think over here, sorry, a table, you can see how this table on the right has been turned into a markdown or an HTML table right here. So in this case, it didn't pick it up, but the rest of the text, I assume, is quite accurate. Quite, but not perfectly. With footnotes and things like that, it's always a bit odd, unfortunately. Okay, but you can see that multiple pages, sometimes it's able to, well, I wouldn't say join it, but because of how you put the markdown together, it looks like one contiguous page. Okay, now let's make this more interesting. I'm going to put this example right here, comes from an Arabic textbook here. And I'm just curious how it'll handle Arabic letters embedded within the paragraph and some of these examples here. I have a suspicion that it's going to really turn a lot of these into images. And like so, instead of trying to figure all this out, it has just pulled out an image, which is a perfectly acceptable way of doing this. What is unfortunate, though, is that these are not at all accurate. So this O and the A with a bar on top, you can see these are not accurate. So it's assuming that it is in English and creating a problem because of it. Not perfect, but I think this will be a better result than any OCR service online really right now. Let me just see here. Okay. We'll do another one here. This one is going to be very challenging. I have no idea if it'll pick up anything. This is from a dictionary of ancient Egyptian. So there is no way they would support this as a language, unlike Arabic. This will never show up as one of their languages. And then there's all these weird symbols. None of it really makes sense. There's just a couple of English characters in here. I have no idea how this will look. So let's process and see where it goes. Okay, this actually makes a lot of sense. It's not even going to try. It's just going to output an image back at you. That is a sensible way of doing it as well. So I don't blame it. I kind of wish it attempted it, but in some ways it's better that it doesn't, because with a lot of commercial OCR software, it'll try and brute force it and it'll have these weird random strings of characters of ZXY, PT, S, I, B, D, and then have some weird English words. So when you're searching it, it makes no sense. And when you upload it to computers, you think you have something, but you really don't. Now, this is a very stark example, but sometimes it's better when OCR just doesn't try it at all. Now, if you've seen this channel, OCR is not something new to us. We have done this before. And I think it would be quite interesting, and we've done this before in a certain way, to then send these images separately to another LLM to ask what it is a picture of. So this is not a good example here, but let's say we go back to this Arabic one and we process and we get something that's mixed language and images. This is something that you can then separately identify, because you're sending the markdown file to some sort of system. It recognizes all this text and then boom, there's an image. And because it's so clean as Markdown with images embedded, you can then take the image, send it to GPT, send it to Sonnet, send it to something that can recognize images, and ask it to then create a description for you. And so, for example, it'll say, in the list given below, dark A and A bar are shown as a dot and a bar to help you read and write. And then there would be a cue that says, there is an image here. The image roughly shows English and Arabic words, blah, blah, blah. And this is really, really helpful because the last time we did something similar to this, we were trying to create audiobooks from academic articles, academic journal articles, where we would have, a bunch of text and it would read it out reasonably well and talk about all the findings and the structure, and then it gets to a chart. And what we did was then we separately sent that chart over, and the AI will say, well, there's a chart showing a downwards trend. That's helpful. It's not the same as looking at the chart, but if I'm on a run, I'm not pulling it up, this is just side interesting articles to read, that's incredibly helpful. And so Mistral is going to make this so much easier because there's a standard output that you can very reliably do, whereas when we were doing websites and PDFs, they were all over the place. Okay, enough of this side chat. Let's continue on. I'm not sure what this one is. Okay. Handwritten. Completely handwritten. There's 3 pages here. You can see some of these. The paper itself is going to be problematic. The graininess, the charts, all of this is problematic. I suspect it'll be the same as our hieroglyph page where it'll just output an image back rather than try and make sense of this. But let's see here. By the way, pricing is $1 for 1,000 pages, which is reasonable, very reasonable. It's a tenth of a penny per page. I think that is substantially cheaper than Azure. The other interesting thing is that not available to everyone, but they have said that it's possible to self-host this. So if I am at a law firm and I have all this sensitive information, it's possible for us to host it locally within our law firm, so we're not so worried about privacy or sensitive data. I am running into an issue here. I suspect, you know what, let's just pull this up. I'm just gonna refresh and try this one more time. Because most of the time we had it pretty quickly. Okay, maybe it's just struggling with this particular file. I am just going to move on to the next one, and here is one with some math equations. Wonder if the server... Oh, you know what it could be? I may have ran out of money. So I'll be right back. Okay, it seems like there was just a server glitch or something where the response was a bit slow. So I put in that same piece, this same written one again. And as I suspected, it just pushed out all the images, which is perfectly fine. We're going to keep going with, I think, 2 more examples here. The first was the one you've seen already, math. And once again, fairly quick. I have no idea what all this says, but it does look accurate. The squiggles do match up. Let's see. AIJ, weird squiggle, J, yeah, BI. So math is rendered well. You can see that there is something wrong here. So the output seems to be problematic. This is on a JavaScript package, so this isn't Mistral fixing things, but saying it's the packages that are noting that there's something wrong with the markdown formatting. But it's really, really useful. Last example is a fun one here. This is from a video game art book, and I guess this is a character here, and I suspect it won't even try, but there's obviously very clean text throughout, so it might try and take some of the text out. Nope. So just a single image. Again, very sensible approach. I hope you can hear in my voice how excited I am, because if I think back to all the tools I've used in terms of Google, AWS, Azure, there's like ABXY or whatever that company is called. There's a lot of different approaches, and they're all quite far from perfect. Mistral 2 is far from perfect. Let's be clear. It's not exactly as I hope it would be, but I find their approach quite different. Because if I think about Azure, they often try and preserve the text location in ways that are very unintuitive. So if I am OCRing a receipt with two columns, it's trying to put big chunks of spaces and tabs in between, and it just has this weird jagged look that makes no sense to a regular actual person. It just looks very messy, whereas Mistral is actively cleaning up so that there are headings, there is reflowable text. It doesn't care so much about it. Is that approach for everyone? No. As I said, if you're looking for receipts, if you're looking for invoices, the spacing does make a difference. But for me personally, I'm looking at contracts, I'm looking at reports, things that are big blocks of text. And this approach will work for the vast, vast majority of documents I would deal with. The other challenge I should mention is that something like Azure Document Intelligence supports just about any sort of file you can imagine. They support Word documents, PDFs, TIFF, JPEG, PNG, like everything under the sun, whereas Mistral really is just taking in PDFs and some limited image options. Who knows? This is day 3 of their release, so it might get better. But for me, again, supporting PDFs covers most of my usage already. This approach makes a lot of sense and is noticeably different than everyone else. And the last thing is Mistral is cheap. At $1 for 1,000 pages, it's probably a good eighth or tenth of the price that I've seen with other companies, and possibly even bigger of a delta if you're paying for something at an enterprise level. I'm just thrilled because this opens up a lot of opportunities. It does. It just makes sense, and nobody bothered to do that backbone work that we were talking about. So I'm glad Mistral is doing this. Last thing is that it is possible to self-host this, not immediately, but you can contact Mistral. So again, for something like a large law firm, you don't want to be sending this out to anyone. Mistral isn't a big company, whereas in the past, Google, Microsoft, they're probably okay. But if you can host this locally on your own computer or your own servers, that just makes it all the better. Anyways, I will upload this code onto my GitHub. It's far from perfect. I had AI help me through a lot of it. I just had to guide it pretty tightly to get to the end result. Feel free to use it, but it's not the cleanest piece of code out there. All right. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you guys can make great use out of this new API as well. Bye.